You're ready to invest and you've decided on direct property. But have you thought about how you'll own it? I'm Rachael Yurko from Thrive Financial, and we get that while tax is an important part of the economic system, you don't want to pay more than you have to. Getting the structure of your investment right from the outset can be key to not paying tax. That's not essential. Let's have a look at the pros and cons of buying an investment property that's personally owned by a company, your SMSF, or a discretionary family trust. We'll kick off with asset protection, mostly because too many people ignore this bit. And remember, we don't know your personal circumstances. This is general information. For your own situation, you should seek advice from a professional that's tailored to you. If you buy something that's personally owned, there's no asset protection. If you go belly up, all your personally owned assets are up for grabs, which is worth considering if what you do for work carries liability risk or simply because life sometimes throws hardballs. If you purchase an asset via a company or your SMSF, the liability is limited as the asset is owned by the company or the SMSF. Now, in most cases, an asset owned by a discretionary family trust is protected from creditors if one of the beneficiaries goes bankrupt or is the subject of legal action. When it comes to tax, there's two types to consider: tax on income and capital gains tax, or CGT. If you haven't wrapped your head around CGT yet, it's tax that you pay on the increased value of an asset when you sell it. Broadly speaking, if you buy something for $100 and sell it for $200, you've had a capital gain of $100, and the government wants you to pay tax on that gain. CGT consideration for property ownership goes like this. A personally owned property is eligible for 50% CGT concession on sale when property is held for 12 months or more. Using the earlier example, if your gain is $100 and you've owned the property for longer than 12 months, you'll pay tax on $50 at your marginal tax rate, after, of course, you've cried because you only made $100 on a property. A property owned by a discretionary family trust is eligible for the same 50% CGT concession when owned for 12 months or more. What's relevant to note is that CGT losses or gains will be restricted to the purchasing entity. For example, if you have an existing CGT loss in your company, you could offset a future CGT gain made by your company, but could not offset the company loss against a CGT gain made on something purchased in your own name. A property owned by a company isn't eligible for CGT concessions, whether property is held for 12 months or not. An SMSF, on the other hand, has a flat tax rate of 15% with a one-third discount when the property is held for 12 months or more, which effectively gives you a 10% tax rate. Additionally, when sold when all members are in pension phase, there may be no tax payable on the net gain. Finally, when considering tax on income for a company, income earned is taxed at company rates. No tax credits are given to the individual for negatively geared assets. An SMSF will pay 15% tax on net rental income, and rental income that the fund receives once all members are in pension stage can access your retirement savings is generally tax-free. For a personally owned property, net income on tax is of course taxed at the individual's marginal tax rates, and negatively geared assets are tax deductible to the individual. For a discretionary family trust, no tax credits to the individual for that negatively geared asset. So there's maybe a little more to consider than just finding the right property to purchase. At Thrive, we suggest starting with the end game in mind. If you'd like to know more about the best fit structure, talk to a qualified professional, like the team at Thrive, before you make your next purchase. Your retired self might thank you.